the galaxy had forgotten about. For centuries, humanity had been little more than a footnote in the annals of interstellar politics, a species that had barely crawled out of its star system. The Galactic Dominion, a sprawling empire that spanned countless worlds, saw Earth as insignificant. When humanity refused to yield to their demands for resources, the Dominion didn't hesitate. They deployed their fleet to make an example out of Earth. The first attack came without warning. Dominion warships descended upon Alpha Centauri Station, Earth's fledgling colony. The station's defenses, though modern, were no match for the Dominion's advanced technology. Plasma cannons tore through the station's shields, and orbital platforms were reduced to molten debris. Within hours, Alpha Centauri Station was nothing more than a field of wreckage. On Earth, news of the attack spread like wildfire. Shock turned to grief, and grief hardened into rage. Millions gathered in cities across the planet demanding action. For the first time in generations, humanity spoke with one voice. The Dominion had declared war, and humanity would answer. Admiral Kael Ward stood on the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, one of Earth's last operational dreadnoughts. The ship's hull bore the scars of previous battles, a testament to humanity's resilience. Kael's eyes scanned the tactical display, which showed the Dominion fleet regrouping near Mars. "They'll hit us next," said Commander Lena Voss, his second-in-command. "Their tactics are predictable. They'll try to break us before we can organize." Kael nodded. "Then we don't give them the chance. We'll take the fight to them." In secret facilities beneath Earth's surface, humanity prepared its counterattack. Engineers worked around the clock to retrofit outdated warships with experimental technology. Scientists developed new weapons, combining human ingenuity with salvaged alien tech from earlier skirmishes. Dr. Arya Nadim, a brilliant physicist, oversaw the development of a prototype weapon, the Singularity Lance. The lance could generate controlled black holes capable of tearing through even the Dominion's most advanced shields. "It's unstable," Arya warned during a briefing. "If it backfires, it could take out half the fleet." Kael's reply was calm but firm. "We don't have the luxury of playing it safe. Humanity's survival depends on this." The Dominion fleet, confident in its superiority, advanced toward Earth's orbit. Their flagship, the Eclipse Dominion, led the charge, its massive form casting a shadow over the planet. Commodore Xylar, the fleet's commander, sneered at the sight of Earth's meager defense grid. "They're nothing," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. "Crush them. Make them regret their defiance." As the Dominion fleet entered Earth's orbit, humanity's fleet emerged from the planet's shadow. The Resolute Dawn led a formation of retrofitted warships, their hulls patched but bristling with weaponry. The Dominion's confidence faltered as they detected unfamiliar energy signatures emanating from the human fleet. Kael's voice rang through the comms. "They think they can crush us. Let's show them what happens when humanity fights back." The battle for Earth had begun. The void between Earth and the Dominion fleet erupted in chaos as the battle began. Human warships, patched together with scavenged tech and sheer determination, surged forward, their weapons firing in synchronized volleys. Plasma beams streaked across the darkness, slamming into Dominion vessels. On the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Kael Ward issued orders with precision. "Focus fire on their flanking ships. Break their formation." Commander Lena Voss relayed the command, her voice calm despite the chaos. "Fleet, target coordinates 157, push them back." Humanity's fleet moved like a swarm, using their superior maneuverability to dart between the Dominion's larger, slower warships. Retrofits to their engines allowed for bursts of speed, and experimental cloaking devices made them vanish and reappear at critical moments. Dominion ships buckled under the assault. Smaller frigates exploded as plasma rounds found their marks, while larger cruisers struggled to adjust to humanity's unorthodox tactics. On board the Eclipse Dominion, Commodore Xylar roared in frustration. "What is this madness? These ships should be nothing but scrap." An officer hesitated before responding. "Their technology, it's not what we expected. They've integrated systems we've never seen before." Xylar's clawed hand slammed against the console. "Then adapt. Concentrate fire on their flagship. Cut off their head and the rest will fall." The Resolute Dawn became the center of the Dominion's attention. Plasma beams rained down on its shields, causing the ship to shudder violently. Sparks flew across the bridge as systems overloaded. "Shields at 40%, Voss shouted. "Divert power from secondary systems," Kael replied, "and tell Arya to prep the lance. It's time we turned the tide." In the weapons bay, Dr. Arya Nadim worked frantically with her team. The Singularity Lance, a massive weapon mounted beneath the Resolute Dawn, hummed ominously as its systems came online. Energy readings spiked and warning lights flashed across the console. "Admiral, the lance is unstable." Arya's voice came over the comms. Kael's response was resolute. "We're out of options, Doctor. Fire it." The Resolute Dawn tilted downward slightly, its lance aligning with the Eclipse Dominion. The weapon released a pulse of energy, creating a swirling vortex of gravity, a controlled black hole. The vortex shot forward, tearing through the Dominion's defensive ships. Their shields flickered and collapsed as the Singularity pulled hulls apart like paper. Smaller vessels were consumed entirely, their remains spiraling into the void. On the Eclipse Dominion, alarms blared. Commodore Xylar stared in disbelief as the human weapon decimated his fleet. Impossible. How could they build something like this? But his disbelief turned to rage. "All ships retreat to the flagship. Focus everything on taking out that lance." The human fleet rallied, pressing their advantage. Captain Marcus Trent of the Iron Resolve, a smaller but heavily armed frigate, called over the comms. "Admiral, we've got them on the run. Give the order and we'll finish this." Kael's voice was steady. "Not yet. Protect the Resolute Dawn. The lance is still charging, and we'll need it for the final strike." As Dominion ships closed in, humanity braced for the fight of their lives. The battle wasn't over, and the cost of victory would be steep. The Dominion ships regrouped around the Eclipse Dominion, their hulking flagship now scarred but still deadly. Plasma beams from human warships continued to cut through their fleet, but the Dominion fought back with brutal precision. Humanity's fleet, though relentless, was beginning to fray under the assault. On the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Kael Ward gripped the console as the ship bucked under another direct hit. "Status on the lance," he barked. Dr. Arya Nadim's voice crackled over the comms. "It's holding, but barely. One more overload and we're done." Commander Lena Voss turned to Kael, her face pale but determined. "Admiral, the Dominion is focusing everything on us. We can't hold this position much longer." Kael nodded grimly. "We won't need to. Once the lance is ready, we'll end this. Order the fleet to cover our retreat path. If this fails, we'll need a way out." Commodore Xylar stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Dominion, watching as his ships closed in on the human flagship. The human fleet was formidable, but their losses were mounting. Xylar allowed a cruel smile to cross his face. "They put everything into that one weapon," he hissed. "Break it and the rest will fall." The Eclipse Dominion charged its main cannon, a weapon capable of obliterating entire cities from orbit. Energy coursed through the ship's spiked hull as the cannon aimed directly at the Resolute Dawn. "Fire," Xylar ordered. A beam of crimson energy lanced toward the human flagship, tearing through space with terrifying speed. "Evasive maneuvers!" Voss shouted. The Resolute Dawn banked hard, its engine screaming as the beam grazed its side. The ship shuddered violently, sparks and debris flying from its damaged hull. On the bridge, Kael steadied himself against the console. "Damage report," he demanded. "Shields are gone," Voss replied, her voice tight. "Hull integrity at 60%. We can't take another hit like that." Kael's jaw tightened. "Arya, we need that lance, now." In the weapons bay, Dr. Nadim and her team worked furiously to stabilize the weapon. Energy levels surged dangerously, alarms blaring with every adjustment. "Admiral, this shot will burn out the lance. We won't get another chance." Kael's voice came over the comms, steady and unwavering. "Understood, make it count." The Resolute Dawn turned to face the Eclipse Dominion, its lance glowing with unstable energy. The rest of humanity's fleet closed ranks, shielding the flagship from the Dominion's onslaught. Kael's voice rang out across the fleet. "All ships, target their support vessels. Keep them off us." Human warships surged forward, hammering the Dominion's defenses. The smaller frigates of the Dominion fleet fell quickly, their hulls torn apart by relentless fire. As the Dominion's formation crumbled, the resolute Dawn fired. The singularity tore through the void, striking the eclipsed Dominion directly. The vortex expanded, its gravitational pull ripping the massive flagship apart. Pieces of its spiked hull spiraled into the void, consumed by the swirling energy. On board the eclipsed Dominion, Commodore Xylar's final roar was cut short as the bridge collapsed into the singularity. The Dominion's flagship disintegrated and the remaining ships began to retreat. On the resolute Dawn, cheers erupted as the tactical display showed the Dominion in full retreat. Admiral Kael Ward allowed himself a rare smile. "We did it," Voss said, her voice tinged with relief. Kael nodded. "We've won the battle. But the war isn't over. They'll come back." Dr. Nadim joined them on the bridge, her face smudged with soot but triumphant. "When they do, they'll think twice about underestimating us again." Kyle gazed out at the stars, his expression resolute. Humanity isn't just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting to show the galaxy who we are. The stars were silent once more, but the echoes of humanity's wrath would linger, a warning to any who dared to threaten Earth again. The battle was over, but humanity's fight for its place among the stars had only just begun.